Welcome back to this little wild studio. Last week we drew 2 robins with graphite, and this week we're going to take that process a little bit further. We're going to do an even larger robin and add a little bit of bling, a bit of coloured pencil to show off that gorgeous red breast. When we start, I'm going to have drawn the outline, basic shapes of this robin already, so you can refer to last week if you need a refresher. And then I will transition from graphite into colour, creating those realistic feather textures and bringing a little sparkle to their eye. At the end, with just a few pencils, you're going to have a cohesive sketchbook spread. All right, let's get sketching. I am now at a point on this little fellow where I have my basic shape, my contour lines that give me the form of this little being, and I'm going to incorporate both graphite and coloured pencil into this drawing. I'm just going to do a little bit of coloured pencil around the face, and then the rest will be in graphite. Now, when using coloured pencil and graphite together, when you use lighter colours, it will pick up the graphite and make your colours a little more dull. So I'm going to just pull up a little bit of the graphite around the eye particularly. But I also know that I don't have a huge amount of graphite just laying flat on the surface. If you do, it's a good idea to use your kneadable eraser and just pick up little bits as you want to, or roll your eraser directly across. But I know that I'm going to utilise a bit of both, a bit of graphite and coloured pencil. So I'm okay with what's on there at the moment. I don't really feel like it's going to make too much of a difference to the orange that I'm going to put down and the brown that I'm going to put down. If you're worried, fix it, change it, do whatever feels good to you, because when we feel good about what we're doing, we're more likely to keep doing it. In front of me I've got some polychromos, and when I teach I primarily use polychromos. They're my absolute favourite. They're such a good all-rounder. Okay, in here I've got black and white, I've got 2 cold greys, a 4 and a 2. I've got nougat and bista. I'm not sure if I'm going to need both, doesn't matter. And then I've got a couple of oranges and a yellow. So I've got orange glaze, cadmium orange and lemon yellow here. And this is not going to be a super highly detailed rendered drawing that would take me, 40 hours to do. This is in my sketchbook and I'm allowed to have fun and play without it needing to turn into a huge production. And I tell you this to remind myself the same too, that it's okay just to spend a little bit of time and enjoy the process, and not be attached to any outcome. So I'm going to lay a little bit of white down here in this eye here for that little catch light area in case I want to pull back into it. I probably won't, but just in case. And I've got my black and I've just sort of outlined the eye there. There's a little bit of iris colour in here, and I could bring heaps more coloured pencils into this, but again I want to go simple. I want to just play a little bit and see what I can achieve with just a few supplies, and without like masses of expectation on myself. So I haven't got the colour that's in the iris itself, but I'm going to lay down a little bit of orange in there and a brown, it doesn't really matter which one, just to soften the orange out a little bit, and then come back in with the black. There's a little bit of grey around all this eye too, but we'll come back to that. I'm going to move over to the beak now while I've got the black in hand. Is it going to be exactly proportionally correct? I haven't traced it, so probably not. But does that matter? No, it doesn't matter at all. This is me growing my observation skills so that I can draw from scratch and feel confident in that, and start to understand more about anatomy. I have absolutely no issue with tracing. I think it can be really valuable. And I really do believe that you still learn about anatomy even when you do that, but there is a freedom to being able to sketch from scratch, scratch from sketch. And it's portable, you know, like I don't have to wait for a tracing. I can observe something and I can play, and I can give myself enough compassion that I'm okay with it not being exactly the same as if I traced it. And I can be curious about what I could do next time. And yeah, all those things, all those things. I'm just going to put a few of these little dark shadowy areas. Now these are the shadows of the feathers, so where feathers are overlapping and casting shadow. So we're kind of at an odd angle here too, which is always a good thing to challenge yourself with as well, because you know we don't get perfect portraiture images all the time. I'm going to lay down my lighter orange first, which is the cadmium. Again, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm wanting to connect and really enjoy just adding a little bit of colour to my page. Look at the difference that makes. Isn't that amazing? I love it. I love it. And yeah, it's a little greyed because of the graphite, but I don't have any issue with that. I'm actually going to do that whole chest, I just realised, because my pencil went there. It just did it. Just going to get a nice layer of that down. You can see I'm not pressing hard at all. You can actually see a lot of the tooth of the paper, and although that will disappear a little bit as we add more layers, again in my sketchbook like this, I don't mind an eyelash. I don't mind if you can see the tooth of the paper through. It all just speaks to the fact that we're creating art as human beings and not machines. Oh, hello little fellow. I want to remind you that it's perfectly fine to talk to your drawings. It's actually a good thing. I'll walk in here, and at the moment I have an owl painting drying on my easel here, and I talk to him when I come in. They like it if you talk to them. It reminds you too that you are drawing a person. You're drawing a little being with personhood that you're related to. Oh, that's fun. I'm going to take my, what am I going to take? I'm going to take my yellow, I think. And just add a little bit of yellow in over this area where I see it's quite bright. And then there's another little bit here. A lot brighter. And probably up the side of the face here too. And it's quite yellow, isn't it? Like it's really bringing out a lot of the yellow in that orange. So I'm going to want to do another glaze over with the cadmium, because there is yellow to this orange, but it's not yellow. So I'm going to come back in with the cad again. A little glaze over the top. You can see here, for example, the graphite has caught in that yellow. That's okay. Oh, somebody's cooking something delicious. It's wafting through the window. Okay, so now I want to increase the value. I want to go a bit darker, and I probably should have grabbed a red really to do that. That bird that you can hear there is called a peewee, or a magpie lark, or a chili lark, depending on where you are. Excuse me. So adding in a little bit of the darker orange that I can see in some spots there. I'm going to add a little bit of brown because I didn't bring, excuse me, I didn't bring in red with me. although I do have a red here. I'm just going to see what happens when we add some brown. Again, I'm doing this for fun. We're going to build all this out in graphite as well. Something like a Cabot Morton would have been really nice here, even a burnt sienna. My pencils are literally just over there. I could go and grab one. But we'll see what happens when we add the brown. Must be sitting right next to the window out there. And I'm going to use Nougat because it's a little more pink leaning, whereas Bista is a little more yellow leaning. So let's see what happens if I add that in. I think that will be fine. It's not red, but it is giving the right value shifts underneath there. So I think that it is really fun to mix up your dry medias in your sketchbook, particularly to try out new things and see what can happen. And then of course it can be taken into other pieces. If you're making larger pieces, for example. But it can also just be really fun, and that you're allowed to do that. You don't forget that. As a professional artist, I sometimes forget that myself, you know, that I don't often take time for me just to play. I'm either working on a large piece or I am preparing lessons, and I do forget sometimes that I'm allowed to play. So I want to remind you that you're allowed to play too, and getting to a place where you are enjoying the process, that you're doing all this work for the practice, not for the outcome, is not easy to start off with. You have to practice that. You have to practice the practice. But it's really important to build a practice that is all about showing up and enjoying process, enjoying figuring out how to do this, that, or the other. How to see, how to get your hand and eye to coordinate to do what you want. And be able to let go of both expectation and outcome so that you can purely show up for the act of creating, I do think I want to get a red. I'm going to bring the Bista out now, so it's a little more yellowy. It's not a huge difference, but I think you'll see compared to the sort of more pinky. So again, I'm just going to do the head in colour, their head in colour. And then I want to build the rest out in graphite. But I really do want a red. Can she resist the temptation and just keep going with what she's got? That's such a question. So we've got quite a bit of cool and warm reds, greys, reds otherwise known as greys in here. I'm actually going to use cool because I don't want to have like a massive amount of pencils here. I'm just playing. And I'm using cool because it's a lovely way to interact with the warm colours that we're using in the red breast. It will help make it pop a little bit. So I've got cool grey or cold grey 4 in my hand. And I'm going to bring just a smidge of it into the breast here and bring a little bit of the orange out, just so that they're interacting a little bit. It's not a harsh end line. Oh, how fun. Okay, I'm going to my lighter cool grey, which is a 2, just to bring some of the light parts out of the beak there. Go over the brown. Blend a little bit on the edge of the orange here. So I want to get that vista back again and do another layer. Not pressing hard, just doing little strokes. Try hard not to press hard. Try hard not to press hard. Because it's no good for your wrist. It's no good for your paper. Ooh, once I get coloured pencils in my hand, it's awfully hard for me not to keep going, you know. I really do want a red. I have a red pencil here. No, that's not going to work. All right, I went and got my Caput Mortem Violet, which is going to make me very happy as I add in a bit of that reddy, deep red colour. It's just going to give me that oomph that I need for the orange. Much better. Okay, let's look at all of the little dark areas and describe those with our pencils a little bit. Look at all of the little feathers, tiny, teeny little feathers under the chin there. Aren't they amazing? A little bit around the neck there. I'm going to come back in again with the orange to soften some of the Caput Mortem Violet. And see how on this side underneath here it's a little darker all around, right? Have a look at the way that light hits. Notice these things. Get really curious about why certain areas look a certain way. What could be influencing that? Hello, little one. Talk to your baby. I think I'm actually going to bring the orange glaze back. This is me making decisions in real time. It's okay. Go backwards and forwards. Figure out what it is that you want to do. Part of the play. That's better. Need to darken that beak up a little bit more. There we go. And this eye, darken that up a little bit more too. Light is actually shining right on it, so I'm finding it quite difficult to see it actually. Now I'm noticing here on this eye that I have left quite a bit of this yellow come right round this side, where it's actually a lot darker on this side. So I'm going to increase the orange there and leave the lighter around the eye. That's better. The more layers you add on coloured pencil, particularly if you do as I'm doing and working really lightly, the more depth that you get. Okay, I think that is pretty good for our coloured pencil portion. A little bit more of the cold grey too up there. All right, let's build the rest out in graphite. I'm going to use a 2B because it's going to show up better on the screen as well. I've got my basic shape. I'm not going to do heaps and heaps of detail though, because I really want the colour to sing. I want it to be the focal point, but I want to give enough context around the rest of the anatomy to show that, you know, this is a detailed, well, this is a realistic drawing of a robin, even if it is not highly detailed. So it'll be a bit more simple. Similar to what we've got going on over here. I'm going to come back to the branch in a little bit. Oh, 2B is not a very dark pencil. You can certainly go much darker than that, but again, I want to keep it quite subtle against the colour, the vibrant colour. I'm going to get a few of these feathery textures down. Have a look at the way that these little tiny feathers crisscross over each other. In so many ways they remind me of, well, of both fur and also of things like conifers, pines, the needles, the way that they cross over each other. Okay, then we've got this tail area. Have a look at what's dark and what's light and use your values to describe them. So the bottom of the tail is darker than the undertail coverts here, so these lighter floofy panty bits, pantaloons, trousers. Hopefully that wind is not upsetting the microphone. Okay, let's look at this little branch. And again, always, it's going to be up to you how detailed that you want to get on any particular aspect. And if you're not sure of what value to use, squint and see what looks darkest when your eyes are seeing the image as a blur. What seems to be the darkest area? Look at the shapes of those dark areas. All right, let's look at these toes. So sometimes toes can be scary, I know, but just think of them as shapes. Try and take out of your mind the fact that they're these complex little pieces of anatomy and turn them into cylinders. How does that cylinder fit over that branch? What about the cylinder next to it? The cylinder next to it comes up a little bit, sort of squared off, and then there's another cylinder that comes this way because they have a very long middle toe, and then there's a little nail coming off it which goes almost all the way to the edge of the branch, and then there's another little cylinder that goes this way along the branch, and a chunky little toe, and then another long nail. And then under here, and make sure that you look at how the anatomy works. Remember that they're grasping onto a branch. We've got a big toe, and we can see the entirety of the nail. And then you want to think about with the nails, sorry, going back to the nails, like backwards and forwards all over the place. Think about how you can achieve those sorts of scaly marks on them by just using little rounded bits over. Round, 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 round. We need to get a little bit of the base of that toe in. Here, and thinking about the roundness of form of the branch that they're grasping onto, how to show that. So the strokes I'm using go around. And we also want to get a little bit of darkness in between those toes there. It's really shining on me, I can hardly see. It's one of the properties of graphite that can be frustrating when you're teaching. I mean, it's a property I don't mind otherwise. And then we've got this foot down here. So both of the legs are hidden by the branch, but the feet we can see. So we've got another little cylinder here and then a nail. And then another big cylinder at this angle. Down this way, and again they're very long nail, a little bit of a pad. Funny, isn't it? Probably should come back up here this way a little bit. And then again, there's another little back toe with a bigger pad of the toe, the nail, and the back toe again. Try to always look at the angles. To give you an indication of which way to move forward, rather than just letting your brain tell you that this is what it thinks it should be. Really look at what's in front of you. Okay, I'm going to use a paper stump just to soften some bits and pieces. And I have quite a bit of graphite on my paper stump too, so it will also act as a bit of a tool to create some value. I want to soften down. Oh, that reminded me I wanted to put a little bit of orange in his cap there. I tried not to scrape into the orange itself because I would transfer that around. I mean, it's not a huge drama, but it was not what my intention was. I just want to add a bit more value in here. So I'm going onto the side of my pencil to lay some graphite down and make it a little darker. And these spots that I can see on the belly are darker. Then I'll soften those up a bit. And then add in a few little details again. Again, go back to look at where the feathers, the directions that they go. That's going to really help you get that roundedness of form. And then with the branch, have a look at how you can make it come forward. So there's quite a light edge along here. So I want to make sure that the bird is darker against that, so that it sits forward a little bit. And then the bottom of the branch is actually darker, so it is in front of the lighter part of the bird there. Okay, I'm going to pull out my big guns. I have a 10B. Is that going to be enough? Yeah, it'll be fine. 10B Faber-Castell Pit Graphite Matte that I whittled down and popped in a 5B Faber-Castell 3.15 I think millimeter lead holder, whatever the 5B is. Which member of my community, we were talking about this in the community, and a member of my community played with that and was able to figure out that it could fit in there, and I'm forever grateful for that, because I use them a lot and I end up having to use my pencil extenders on them, which is fine if you're doing a little bit, but I find that quite annoying when you're doing a lot with pencil extenders on. So as always, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And hopefully at some point Faber-Castell will bring out the Pit Graphite Matte in leads that can be used in clutch pencils, in lead holders like this. Alright, I think we're just about done. I want to add that little bit of orange to the cap. Maybe just a little bit of darkness under the branch. Oh, once I get these dark pencils in my hand, I just want to go everywhere with them. Okay, put it down and walk away. I'm going to grab a little bit of the cad orange, I think, and just bring a bit of that into the cap here. More of that brown again. And that is that. Look at that, how fun. Hey? 3 robins. 3 robins. One with a little bit of pizzazz. And I hope you had so much fun doing that. I sure did. And you know, I would love to see images of your robins. You can go ahead and tag me on Instagram. And I hope you had a wonderful time playing and that you find more time all the time. I want you to keep sketching. I want you to stay curious and compassionate. And know that your creativity will connect you to what is wild and wonderful in this world. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye.